I've been thinking a lot about this idea of rewriting history because I think it's happening in the current moment, and it certainly is a false narrative about what this administration is doing, their attempt to rewrite the message, the narrative in real time, but also their attempt to revise American history. Hi, my name is Karen Cox, and I'm a historian of the American South. I've taught U.S. history. I have an expertise on Confederate monuments. And so this is a particular angle that I have a curiosity about when it comes to the administration, and particularly Trump's executive order of restoring truth and sanity to American history. That's what he called it back in the spring of 2025. But let's be honest, that's not what is going on here. This is a revisionist history that is intended to place white men in a positive light, and this includes removing the exhibits about the enslaved people at the George Washington Presidential House in Philadelphia, a home he occupied from 1790 to 1797 when he did own slaves there. What is interesting is that to even discuss slavery in association with one of the founding fathers is apparently unacceptable to these men in the White House. And I say the men because it's primarily them who are driving it. The irony, of course, is when people were attempting to remove Confederate monuments, or there was a controversy over the potential of removing Confederate monuments, there was an uproar that this was somehow erasing history or tearing down history, when in fact, at Philadelphia, at this George Washington home, that's exactly what they're doing. They're ripping down historical information placed on panels around the house. They're erasing the fact that President Washington owned slaves there, and that slavery was really associated with the founding of this nation. I find that troubling. Historians find that troubling. And it all needs to be understood in the context of what's actually happening today. When ICE and Border Patrol is going into Minneapolis and executing American citizens, and then the administration or their spokespeople immediately try to revise the narrative of what we're actually seeing, then it's going to be difficult for historians later on to be able to tell this story. But I know, as a historian, when we are well trained, we know that one source isn't enough to tell the history of an event, like what's happening in Minneapolis. It isn't just what the newspapers report. It isn't what the administration is saying it was. It's not just the videos. It's not just what people who are eyewitnesses may have said. It's all of those things. And the role of the historian is to tease out what is the truth in all of this, provide proper context, and when someone is lying, to say so. That is the role of the historian.